it's so controllable by you. That's, I always look at what are some of the things that I can control in my career. Well, that's one of them.
Are you having trouble doing self tapes for commercials or submitting your self tape and not getting a call back? Well, today I am interviewing Clio award winning Judy Kain. She is a fantastic actress and owner of the Keep It Real acting studio. And she is breaking down everything you need to know to have a successful self tape. And you want to listen to her because she has shot 400 commercials. If this is your first time here, my name is Lydia Nicole, and this is Acting Smarter Now. My first question for you is, how has the pandemic changed how actors audition?
Oh boy. I mean, what a huge change that was. I mean, for at least 40 years of my life, I'd drive across town, get a place to park, go in, either have the sides or get the sides, wait in a lobby, go in with a lot of times with a producer, director, casting director team, and audition. They'd record it. Um, that actually came a little later, recording, and then go home and wait and hear. Now, with the pandemic, and even before the pandemic, for television and film, everything is self taped. Everything. Occasionally, like every once in a while, rare case, they'll have you come in, but um, it not only means that actors have to have access to a studio, some kind of studio, a light, a tripod, good sound, the ability to upload, to know all that and act. So so much has changed, and commercially, I think is where it really threw people for a loop because that's a different world, if you will. We never, ever, ever taped for commercials. So to have to tape for a commercial or to do a Zoom audition for commercial, um, I mean, you would see people just panicking, just completely like fish flapping around out of water. It's a skill set because, again, the actor's job is to bring the scene to life in whatever they're doing. That's the actor's job, not to be the costume designer. Well, you do have to dress yourself, but to be the lighting designer, the director, the filmographer, that's never been our job and really shouldn't be, but it is now. So the skills for taping and taping yourself, or just coming alive in this medium, like you do in the room, is a skill. And I've heard casting directors say, most actors are great in the room, but that is not how every job is cast. Commercially, especially, it's not how every job is cast. So if you can't get past that first self-tape submission, to get the call back, you're losing at least half the jobs, at least half the opportunities. So it's really a skill that's necessary to learn. Everybody thinks they're just going to wait till it goes back in person, but what happens when you wait too long is people forget you. They forget you, and then they think you've gone away or that you quit or something, and never good for an actor to be forgotten.
So let's talk about this new world of auditioning for commercials.
Okay.
When you get an audition and you have to do a self tape for a commercial, what from the beginning to the end of that preparation, what does the actor have to do?
Okay, so it's everything's emailed, so you get an audition ticket through usually casting networks, and first thing you need to do is read everything and click on everything because there's lots of things to click on. Some people don't click on stuff, and there's little nuggets inside there, inside the role. Talk about the role, maybe it'll talk about wardrobe, but it'll talk about tone. And oftentimes the casting director or the casting office will do a little video, like a video explanation. So you have to click on that. You have to watch it. Of course, they're going to give you the generic that they've been doing for the last almost 5 years now. Good lighting, plain background, make sure we can see you, the framing, how long your slate should be, et cetera, et cetera. So they'll do all that and then kind of walk you through what the audition should look like, should be. So they'll give you a little explanation. And of course, it's very important to watch that. And that's your guideline. That's, the box within you work within. But you should bring also yourself and your personality to fill out that within that box of, what's required for the scene. Um, and then the next thing you should do, I mean, I always do this, of course, not everybody can, but I do think you can, is find somebody, a peer, a teacher, somebody who can at least have eyes on you while you're taping it so that you're not taping it home alone with only you as the critic, because I don't think we're our best critic, one. And two, I think it's really good to have eyes on you and just offer, well, try it this way, or, you missed that point, or I'm not really seeing you here. So try to find somebody that will work around your schedule or be flexible. They don't have to come in person, they can Zoom, or have them on FaceTime on another device while you're recording. And sometimes you need them to feed you the lines. So then do that and do it till you feel like you have a good one. And you usually can feel that in your core. Usually you can go, that felt good. That's the one you should send. uh,
Mm.
rather than watch all of them and micromanage which one to send. Because what happens, and I'm guilty of this as well, you start to look back and go, well, I look better in this one. I like the way my hair, or whatever. You'll be,
You'll obsess with one thing that has nothing to do with the
yes, that
audition.
has nothing to do with the audition or nothing to do with the scene. And that I think is a real trap for actors, because that's where we cannot be objective. So send the one that you felt good in and that you got the feedback from the person that was also a good one. Um, that I think is your headshots, of course, are a tool belt. Your good agents a tool belt, but also having a group of people that you can call upon and maybe exchange. Hey, I'll tape you if you tape me, or hey, I'll help you if you help me. Is critical.
In you talking about this, I keep hearing get coached. If you really want to stand out in the audition, it is in your best interest to get coached,
Yes,
because sometimes you'll have a friend who will read the lines with you, but they don't know what to look
right,
for.
right.
So that if you really want to be in the game, spend that $100 or whatever the fee is to
Well,
have
hopefully it's
someone
not $100. I don't think you should pay $100 to get coached, but for every audition, or that's a lot of money. But you could pay 20 or $30 for 30 minutes.
to have
To
someone coach you
Yes,
and
while
be
you're
able
doing
to
it.
see what you can't.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I think think of it as gas money.
Yes.
Gas
What
money,
you
or
would have paid to go
for
to
gas
the
and
audition,
parking.
right?
Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit more, but you don't have to do a lot of the things that we used to have to do, money wise. Like, you don't have to print headshots and resumes anymore, so you can uh, bank a little bit more money and get coached. Yes, absolutely. I think it is important. I obviously know that finances can be an issue with people, but and this is just a total sidebar, but I, I don't think it works for an actor to always have, I don't have the money, I don't have the money. I don't think that's a great place to be in because it's a lack and limitation place. And then you're denying yourself the help that you need in order to be a working actor who is making money. So find a job, find a source that you can um, take care of your needs for procuring work. That's my 2 cents.
You mentioned about 5 things technically that you as an actor have to bring to the self tape. The first
Yes,
one is your camera, be it
yes,
your smartphone, whatever you're doing to record it. That's
yes.
the first thing you need.
Yes. And, I know phones are expensive. I sold my big camcorder that I had, and I took that money and I bought a phone. And that was my new camera. And so I use that for every audition. And the quality is good. You just want the quality to be good. Simple thing you can do, clean the lens. Clean the back of the lens and make sure it's clean and not smudgy because it literally will make you look smudgy.
And the back of the lens is actually the best place to shoot from instead of a selfie, putting it in a selfie.
Yes, so that at one, you're looking at yourself. That's never good for an actor to be looking at himself while he's acting. Trust me, because then you're judging yourself and you're out of the scene. Even for a second, you're out of the scene. So make the long walk around or get one of those little remote controls that allows you to stop and start the recording. They have those for phones, for cell phones via the ring light, I believe, so you can pair it with your cell phone and click it and record, or just make that, as I said, long walk around the table or whatever it is. The chords. I know it's not ideal, but it is what it is. Um, Acceptance is the answer.
Yes, you can also get a cord to tether the smartphone to the computer if you have a computer, so that once you're done, you can look at it that way, and that will also, it'll magnify it and show you, oh, okay. Because sometimes on your smartphone you may not be able to see it, but that's a another little
Yeah,
tip. If you have a computer, and if
absolutely.
you
Airdrop.
know.
Hmm.
Yes. So then once you have the camera, you've cleaned the lens, you have set it up, you know
Yes.
your framing,
Yes,
like,
framing, I'd love to talk about that. See if this is bugging me here today because my framing's there. That's better. You don't want to have a lot of headroom because what a lot of headroom, so that is the maximum amount. I would even do it like up to here. It dwarfs you. It just makes you look less powerful. We want to see, the shoulders and the mid arms to the mid chest. We want to see it. Otherwise, it's very disconcerting to just see a big head in the screen. Or this. It's terrible. This is terrible, right? So
I'm
and
coming
that is
closer. I'm
yeah.
coming
So
closer. Okay.
it's so controllable by you. I always look at what are some of the things that I can control in my career. Well, that's one of them. You know, deliver a tape that has no distractions in it. That's not going to distract them. The odds are they will actually watch it through without, going, oh, I can't with this, so not to say that you're going to book the job because everything was, well executed technically. No, it's all about the acting. But if you don't have those glaring distractions, I think it's just going to make you look like more of a professional. It's going to make you look more um, attractive, appealing, and like you've done this before. Nothing's worse than looking at a tape like, oh, this is definitely their first time ever self taping. you know?
It's also
And then,
engaging.
yeah, it's
You want,
engaging.
they have so many tapes to look at that
Yes.
any excuse to
Yeah.
click it
To
off,
yeah.
you don't want to
I
give
think
them
that's
that. You want them to at least see what you've done.
absolutely. You want to get the star, you want to get the heart, whatever it is that they do, so that they download those and send them on to the clients and the director.
So let's talk backdrop. I hate, just in general, when you're on Zoom and people put those false backgrounds and they
Oh, the
go in
blurry.
and out and in.
No, 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 don't ever use a blur. Don't ever use a blur. It's probably the worst thing that you could do. But just a plain wall. The color is not critical. Just a plain wall is fine. Um, I mean, the space really around me is minuscule. You don't need a huge space. If you can, the cheapest way to do it is paint a wall. That's the cheapest and most effective. It looks great. If you can't paint a wall, you're going to have to get creative. See where a nice space is that can live there, that you don't have to set it up every single time you have a self tape, because that can be, ugh,
That's another tip, to
yes.
set it up so you always go to that
So it's
particular
there.
area.
It just lives there, as much as possible. The backdrop lives there, the ring lights there, whatever you have is there, and just it's part of your furniture. It's part of your life. And some people go to a studio, and that's fine too. If you find a studio and it's affordable, it's $20, and you can knock it out at the studio and you can get a time. Bravo, fantastic, do that. I just always feel like there's going to be that one time that send you the email at 4 o'clock. You're not going to get home till 7, and it's due at 9 a.m., and you're not going to be able to get an appointment, and you're going to have to do it yourself. So we should all know how. We should all be able to do it. So yeah, so backdrop, plain, um, good camera, or clear camera, some kind of lighting. Ring lights
Smartphone,
are,
yeah.
yeah, smartphone is fantastic.
Lighting, yes.
I mean, ring lights are a dime a dozen. I'm sure the ring light companies out there are so thrilled with the pandemic and the new self tape push, because they're probably making way more money than they ever did before, because everybody has to have one.
Or have natural lighting that
Yes,
can reflect. If you have a great window, don't put your back to the window, but use the light that's coming toward
at
you.
your face. Yeah, which I do. I have a great window, but I just prefer the ring light because it's a great fill. And you'll notice when you shoot something, they often put their version of a ring light sort of close up next to us more mature actors to give a little bit of a fill, you know. And I appreciate it. They'll put like literally a whiteboard. I don't think I've ever shot anything in the last 10 years where there wasn't a whiteboard in front of my face. And I
I
appreciate it.
love that.
So, and the ring lights are not expensive. I think you can get them for 30, 40, $50. So,
On
um,
Amazon. Yes,
yeah, on
ma'am.
Amazon. Yeah.
The last thing is sound.
Yes. It's funny because I bought a little computer for Zooming, just for Zooming. It was a little Dell computer, but the sound was terrible. And I had to bite the bullet and buy a little iPad, iMac, whatever this is. I don't know, a little laptop, Apple laptop, because I knew the sound would be good. And I mean, it was tinny before. So look, it's expensive. It's all of it's expensive, but
It's an investment. It's
yeah,
an
it is.
investment. You have to
Yeah,
see it as an investment. This is your business. So you have to save your money. If that's what you have to do, save your money. So
yeah,
before you start auditioning, you have everything you need, so
yeah.
you are not operating from a deficit as far as setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, I'll tell you this because I do deal with a lot of agents. Agents, before they sign somebody, they'll ask you to do a self tape at home. And if you don't have it together, they're not going to take you till you do. So it's part of, it's part of having it's part of your toolkit. So, it's just what we have to do. Realtors have to, go to school and get their license and do whatever they have. Every job has its, requirements that you have these things in your pocket, and this is what we have to have. So yes, sound is important. There are a lot of external mics out there. If you know how to do that, have an external mic that hooks up through the computer, or little lavalier mics.
And they sell them on Amazon for about 20 bucks. You go from your phone
Yep.
to your lapel.
Hmm.
Most effective for what
Right.
you're doing right now. You can get all the equipment, but if you're not ready uh acting wise, none of that matters.
No, no, you're absolutely right. It's because you're not booking the job. No, you're not booking the job on your production value. It's not it. The acting will always be the top priority. And I do find with commercials more than television and film, um, that people, newer people, people who haven't done it yet, uh, think it looks easy, think it is easy, and that anybody can do it. And I'm here to tell you that it is a skill. You still are acting. It's a mini movie. It's a short little mini movie, and probably that even makes it a little bit more difficult because the transitions and the movement from the beginning, middle, end of the movie are quick, but they have to be there. You have to transition. You have to. I was just working on this with someone today about moving from beat one to two to three, which is the whole spot. But you need to be clear on what that is. And usually in the text or the spot itself, it just gives you that one beat. Well, there's two other beats that you're missing, the beginning, which gets you there, and then what happens right after. So those are bookending are critical. And it's not about saying the words. I can tell you, nobody ever booked a job for saying the words right. Nobody. That's not the criteria either. So it's bringing your personality, your experience, your point of view, your little stamp and putting it on it, your brand, and bringing that to the spot within the confines of that box, that explanation we talked about before of what they're asking for. But yeah, I love doing commercials. Have I ever said that to you, Lydia?
Yes, after 400 commercials, after doing 400 commercials, I would think you love it.
I do. I love them because, for 30 seconds, or the shooting of it, a day or two, you're the star. It's like your little movie. A lot of times, not always, but they're fun and they're funny and there's a sense of everybody's nice on commercials, and they're all there just to do this one thing, and it just really feels great. I love doing them, and of course, the residuals are an added bonus, for sure.
If
But
you're doing union work,
yes,
if you're doing non-union commercials, there are no residuals.
well, no, but um, they do renegotiate,
Oh,
after a certain time. I think it's a year. This is a good fun fact. I think most non-union commercials are usually for a year. Again, I'm not uh, an expert on this in this arena, but they do. If they want to continue to use it, they have to renegotiate because your contract's basically up after a year. So that is cool, and you can get double, or or sometimes they'll come back and do another spot with you or whatever. But yeah, there's always more money to be made, and of course, my advice to you is, if you're starting out non-union, you have such a great asset because you're able to get an agent and start auditioning. Whereas when Lydia and I started, you couldn't even get in a door, any door, like Macy's wouldn't let you in if you didn't have a SAG card. No, you couldn't get in anywhere. No agent would have anything to do with you if you were not in the union. So,
Absolutely. You had to get that Taft-Hartley. And the only way you could do it was to do extra work afterwise in order to get AFTRA to then get grandfathered into SAG. And that wasn't a definite, because
no.
some shows they did not consider SAG worthy. So you still were not a union in their
Yeah, no,
eyes.
you had to be crafty to get into the union. You had to be determined to get into the union, to get an agent, to get an appointment with an agent. Of course, I always say this, you're lucky, you're doing it now. But yes, you are, because you can get started right away. I mean, I do suggest that you do some training first, because you don't want to go out there and let all these casting people see you green, because that's their first impression of you.
What's the downside of going in and you are not ready? You don't know what you're doing, other than having a look. That a lot of times actors think they have a look, so they're going to book.
Well, a look gets you in the room, but a look doesn't book a job, because even if it's a look, you're still in the scene. Even if you're not talking, you're still in the scene. You have to be doing something, so if you can't engage in a moment, and you don't even know what I'm talking about, then you're not going to book. So or if you are, you'll get lucky to book one, and then it will be a nightmare on the set, and then it's going to be over. I mean, it's you have to train. You can't run a marathon by buying some shoes, buying some running shoes. That does not the precursor to running the marathon. You have to practice running. So till you get good at it and you can complete it. So and the downside is that, just like you and me and everybody, we form very quick opinions of people almost instantly. So we form an opinion. What we see somebody, and they're not good. They're not good yet. Let's just put it that way. That's how we see them. That's how we see them. Remember, there are a lot of actors out there. So I think 4,000 is the kind of common amount that are submitted per role.
Mm, mm.
So, if you fall into the 1,000 that are green and not ready yet, you're not going to get any auditions, especially if you do them for these casting people who will remember that. And then how do you change their minds? It's going to take some
Right. And
time.
sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't. You
Right.
cannot change their mind. They will not see you again,
Right.
because they remembered or they wrote down
Right.
your audition. They
Right.
made notes, and now you are screwed with that particular casting director.
Yes. I hope. I don't know that maybe they take notes. I think the only, someone told me, a casting director told me that there is a place in, maybe it's still there, in casting networks, where a person can flag an actor. That's if they do something really bad, like something egregious in the room, or on a Zoom call they are rude or something. They can flag them, and not only that office can see them, but other offices can see that too.
Mm,
So
wow.
yeah, you want to look, the fact that you get an audition, any kind, self tape, in person, Zoom, whatever it is, the fact that you get one. Remember, 4,000 people, you were in the running with 4,000 people. So grateful. If it was difficult to get there because you had to cancel some things, okay, don't bring that into the audition and don't tell everybody about it. We don't care.
And don't have that
Right?
energy on your self tape. Yes,
No.
don't put that
No. No.
energy in your self tape.
Don't do your audition in the car. I can't believe I have to say it, but don't do your audition in a car.
We're talking self tape here, right?
Yeah, yeah, self-tape,
Okay.
yeah. Or Zoom. I see people, well, I don't see it, but I talk to casting people and agents, and they say that a lot of times the actors are in the car doing their Zoom callback. How can you do that? Unless you're supposed to be in the car, okay, maybe. But if you're not supposed to be in the car, figure it out. It just makes you look like you didn't care enough to procure a space.
Mm.
And don't go to your agent interview, if you have an agent interview, in your car. Don't do that. Okay? That's a big deal. Be professional. I mean, it would be like you're going to go interview with Google. Would you do it from your car? I don't think so. Would you wear a t-shirt? I don't think so. So, that's just, it's not that hard to go get a space. I remember somebody said to me they had a call back. They couldn't make it home in time, so they went to the library and found a little room, and they set their phone up and they did it there. I thought,
Oh, that
yeah,
is smart.
you can do that.
Can we talk about the slate? How
Mhm.
important is slating when you are auditioning?
Well, the slate's the first thing they see. That's the first thing anybody sees. The people that are watching your take, they watch the slate first. So, um, my teacher, Carolyn Barry, who has passed, a wonderful, wonderful teacher and a wonderful actress, always told me or taught her students that the slate was introducing yourself to someone you've always wanted to meet. And in that way, the energy is going out to that person, right? It's because the slates that I see people do look self-conscious, like they're all in themselves. It's almost like they're retreating. You see, I'm moving backwards rather than come out, give your energy out into the people that are. And I pick a person. I pick one person that I've always wanted to meet, and I've never met him.
Is that Brad Pitt by any chance? Are we
Ah! Yes.
talking Brad? Hello, Brad. If you're
Right.
listening, Judy wants to meet you, Brad. She's been
Oh my
waiting for a bazillion
oh,
years to say hello.
oh my God. I would telling you, if I do ever meet him, I
You
will
know,
tell
I
him.
was in class with him many
Were
years
you?
ago. Yeah, Roy's class in Roy London with Brad. Had I
Yeah.
known then what I know now.
Yes. No. No. Yeah. So somebody that you've always wanted to meet that, you can tell that I have some energy around Brad. So just say hello to that person and and for commercials, it's pretty much just your name.
Unless they ask you for your height and your hands.
They don't really ask for height much in commercials. Maybe if it's specific to the spot, they might, but usually it's just your name, not your agency. And don't ever say, I'm auditioning for the role of, no. Makes you look green and desperate. So just your name. If they ask for hands, put them right in front of your face. It's just front and back. They're not looking for you to be a hand model. They're not. Believe it or not, they're looking just to see that you have 5 fingers.
I love that.
That's it. Yeah. And profile, same thing. They're really just seeing if you have a gash or a scar.
Okay,
So,
profile. Are you
yeah.
cheating a little bit? Because if you go full
Yeah.
profile,
Yeah. If I
they
go full
lose your
profile,
face.
I'll lose my face. Yeah. But you really do want to, I'm in a chair, I'm in a swivel chair, so it's easy. But you really do want to turn and connect back and then here. And hi, Brad. Yeah,
Why are on camera classes so important?
because that's how you that's how, if you go on camera classes, you mean like in person on camera
No,
classes
not
or
necessarily any kind of on camera. It could be in person, it could be via Zoom, that you're taking an on camera class so that you can learn how to um, bring your performance on camera,
yeah,
because it's
because
different from stage, right? On
well,
camera is
sure,
different from
and this is the
stage.
amount of room that you get, this is the amount of room that you get to work within. And and knowing and understanding camera technique, like when I just turn this way, what that does, and maybe if I look over here, and I've created a whole world out there and then come back to you, and understanding how that works and how it looks, because you want to be savvy to this medium, because yes, you're not, the camera's not following you when it's, you know a phone or a computer. It's not following you. You've got this space to work within, but you can create a little world here. Like I could create, um uh, what am I doing, Lydia?
You're a receptionist, and
Yes,
you're sending
exactly.
you're sending a note to somebody in the office because you just had a client come in.
Right, exactly. So just that little bit of, just here's my computer, here's my laptop, and I could move a little laptop or a little iPad over here and use that, which would be great, till you get a little bit more familiar with it, um, of creating the space so that when somebody looks at your tape or looks at your, because when you go in person, they try to create the scene for you. Well, that's what we have to do at home. We have to create the scene, the world, if you will. And, if you're on the phone, use your phone. Use a thing. Don't do this. It's weird. Or if you're supposed to be writing something, don't do this. Use a pen.
Bring your props.
Yeah, bring props because they'll have that for you in the room if, they're going to
In
create it.
commercial acting, they will have that for you.
Yes. Well, there's hardly any in person. I mean, it's so few and far between for television and film that you really have to create the space for yourself in theatrical TV and film auditions. You
And
do.
in theatrical, when you are doing a self tape, just side note, when you're doing a self tape, would you also recommend having your props?
Yes, but my props pretty much live down here. Like, like I might have my glasses, that I've used here previously. I might do this, and then, have them, that I'm using them. Da, 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 da. I might do that. Or, if I have a cocktail, I might have it, but it's not going to be out here. And it's, and I want to be able to set it down, put it out of the frame too. But yes, I do
The
because
props shouldn't distract. They should
no,
just give a
it
little
just,
accent.
it should help you be more involved in the scene. Trying to think what I did this weekend. Well, I had a folder this weekend. I did a tape this weekend, and I had a folder where I was looking at somebody's file, and then I put it down. But to me, I need to be in this banking world. I needed to be in the banking world in order to sort of create that. And so, if the folder does it for you and it helps, and it does for me, then and I think it does. It tells a little bit more of the story. But
Hmm.
yeah, and they can all be sort of down here, and they don't always have to be seen. Sometimes I have a towel and I'm just wiping the counter, but just that alone, I'm doing something as opposed to just a talking head.
So you talked about a commercial being a little movie, and there's a beginning,
Yes,
middle, and end. And in the
yes.
beginning, you are doing the moment before to get you into.
Yeah, either the first line or the scene, yes. I call it launching in, and the reason it is the moment before, but it literally is the second before, because we speak when we speak for a reason. We speak in response to something. We respond to either what somebody has said to us or we respond to what we see. We might be moved by, oh, well, mailman's here. That's great. You know what I mean? We respond to what we see, we respond to what somebody says to us. So rarely is that given to you. Rarely. So to come into the scene with that awareness of what just happened that motivates you to say the line of dialogue is really important for the actor.
I love that word launching because
Yeah.
it's so active,
Yes.
instead of just the moment before. You're launching. You are coming in with energy, not crazy energy, but unless it is called for, but you're bringing energy into the room.
You're coming in motivated to speak. That's, I think, the key. You must be motivated to say whatever. There has to be a reason for you to say what you're going to say, right? Otherwise, it's just here's a line of dialogue, as opposed to the reason why you're saying the line of dialogue. The moment before, I find when people call it the moment before, it's very vague. Yeah, well, I just came from, work and I'm getting home and I want to chill. Okay. But this is about cooking dinner. So, what happened between pulling the car and kicking your shoes off and getting the pan out? What happened there? What happened right before you got the pan out? You know what I mean? That's where I think the difference between the moment before, what that does for people, and what literally are you responding to make you speak. And I like people to verbalize, like have a response to, like if you said to me, like you just said, oh, go ahead. Oh, yeah. And like that would come before the line because it's what I'm responding to, or it's how I responded to you. Or if I, see the pan, oh, love these, and then the line of dialogue, whatever it is, but just a little something that allows you to again be more, I call it, dropped into the scene.
So now we've launched in, we're in the scene. How do
Yeah,
we come out of the scene that continues to make an impact instead of just stopping?
I call it a button, and it's the way I describe a button is the next thing that you would say after the last scripted line. So let's say the scripted line is this good coffee. Okay, it's good coffee. Uh, don't try to sell it. Selling is not on the table anymore for commercials. You're never selling. So, what would be the next thing you would say in 3 words or less? It's good coffee. Hmm, who
It's
knew?
so sweet. It's
Yeah,
so
maybe. But don't try. Here's what I really encourage people: don't try to do the advertiser's job. Just live
oh,
in your life. Just live in your life. That's good coffee. Oh, I have another one. Or, it's good coffee. Um, um, I have to think about it for a second. It's good coffee. Who knew? It's good coffee. What's it called? I don't know. Again, just the next thing that you would say.
maybe it's Billy. You want some coffee?
Yeah, but you want it to be short.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
You want the
a button
short.
is very short. It's just one
Three
little.
words or less. 3 words.
Oh,
Three is fine. Three
okay.
words or less is really optimal. 2 words, great as well. But three is usually funny. Funny happens in threes. Um, set up punchline.
Going
But
dancing now. You have the call. I'm going dancing now.
yeah, calling in sick. I don't
Right, right, right. But that's funny. It's funny.
but and it's not necessarily meant to be funny, because when it is the next thing that you would say, like in life, you're at a restaurant and it's dinner's over and check please can be perfect, or Uber, taxi, whatever. I don't know. I'm calling an Uber or whatever. I don't know. But just the next thing that you would say in life, in our life today, is can be the best buttons. Don't try to be funny. Don't try to be overly clever. Just the next thing you would say, and I think you'll find that that works the best. I love buttons. We have a class that is literally devoted to buttoning for commercials, and I can't stress how important of a skill it is. I've used buttons for years, and now it's really, really it's commonplace now. I don't think there's very many actors out there who aren't aware. Even though I say sometimes, do you button? Yes, sometimes. And I'm like, sometimes? Why are you shooting yourself in the foot on those other times you're not? Why not? Because they want to see you make the spot better. They want to see you. And the button often is where you can put, you know, your little stamp on it, your personality.
Carolyn Barry, you
Yeah.
credit for your tutelage. What are
Yes.
aside from the slate where she told you to say hello to someone you want to meet, what are two or three other things that she has given you that you've taken ownership of and it helps you every time you go into an audition?
Well, Carolyn Barry was the one who literally showed me that you have to break down a commercial just like you have to break down a television scene or a movie. You have to break it down. And you have to ask yourselves all the same questions that you ask of yourself, hopefully, when you're doing a theatrical piece. Who are you? Who are you talking to? Where are you? What do you want? What's your point of view? How do you feel? Um, what motivates you? What's the moment before? What motivates you to say the first line? What's the next thing you would say afterwards? So this was her approach. It was a very theatrical, actor friendly approach to commercials. And it blew my mind, just blew my mind. And I thought, yeah, this is no different. It's no different than, a little tiny scene. Sometimes, when you're auditioning the beginning for a television film, you only get one line, So it's the same thing. You have to fill out the rest for yourself so that you come to that moment truthfully, and it's coming from somewhere going somewhere, so there's a flow. And yeah, I think that's the major thing that she taught me, that really blew my mind, and that you have to be able to prepare every spot multiple ways. You can't just go in with one idea or one way, because um, it's so limiting, and you are going to get direction. If they like you at all, they're going to direct you. They're going to give you another way to go, or they're going to ask you to do it a different way. So if you haven't prepared or thought about doing it a different way, it's going to be really hard for you to do it a different way.
Hmm. Who was your first acting teacher that really made an impression on you?
Well, Ken McMillan was so passionate about acting. Oh my God, I loved being in class because it was infectious. His love for actors and his love for scene study was he really made me want to work hard in class. But all my teachers, all the teachers that I studied with, Carolyn Barry, Dina Dietrich, who was the chiffon. It's not nice to fool Mother Nature.
Now, was she part of Carolyn Barry's school or studio?
No, but she was a great teacher. I had great teachers, and I still study. I still take class.
After 400 commercials and 150 TV and movies, you still take class?
I do.
I love it.
One, because I love it. I love it. And two, I never want to get rusty. Um, I do this scene study class with Howie Deutsch, and sometimes I'll work on I'm working on 4 or 5 different scenes right now, just to give myself that pressure to memorize, to work on it, to go from one to the other. Because if I was lucky enough to be on a series and getting scripts every day and different scenes every day, you have to be able to do that. You have to
Mm.
be able to quickly churn it out, so to speak. So yeah, sometimes, and I'm doing that right now. I'm giving myself a lot of them to really work on.
I love the preparation because what you're saying is you're studying to be prepared for what it is that you want. You're not waiting till you get it. You are in preparation intentionally to get it.
Absolutely, because and I'm around people who are also passionate, working, proactive, in support of their career. So I'm constantly around those people, which is the people I want to be around. I don't want to be around bitter. I don't want to be around bitter people who I just don't. So I'd rather be around people who are proactive and who are positive and
How important is being around uplifting people for your mindset?
oh, I mean it's everything. I mean, we're creative people, so we're very susceptible. And I mean, sometimes those lobbies, back in the day, it could be a little toxic.
A lot toxic, a
Yeah.
lot. And you had to, it was like going into war. You really had to be mentally prepared to say I'm putting my blinders on. I'm not listening to anybody. Nobody is important. When I come in, I'm doing my work. I'm going in so I can have the best opportunity or give myself the best opportunity to do the best job I can. Because those rooms, man, in the beginning for me, I would come out like, what happened? I was ready. I got coached. I had everything. I got into that waiting area and hell, hell broke out. The best thing that ever happened to me, I was at Lorimar and we were auditioning for yet another Latina maid, and I'm sitting there and I'm prepared and I got my stuff. And all of a sudden, it was like a fire started, a brush fire. They're always giving us these roles. These are the only thing they give us. And then they want us to have an accent. And then, so it contaminated the waiting area. I went in there ready to start a war. And I walked out, and that night, the person who actually started the fire, they were the person who got the job. And what it was such an educational moment for me.
Right.
And at that moment, I said, I will never go into a waiting room and focus on what's happening in the waiting room. I am going to be rude if I have to. I am going to just focus on what I have to do, go in a corner, not say hello to anybody, just stay in my space, go in and
Right.
do my work. And then when I come out, if there's anybody that I would like to see, say, hey, I'll be outside waiting for you. That's it. But not to disrupt the room when I come out, but be respectful and that all these actors are going in to do their work. How dare I come into the room and cause chaos?
Yeah, so, important to have your space, and I think most to do your best and to be prepared. And part of being prepared is knowing that there will be other people there that will be similar to you and probably just as good for the part. and to know that when if it's your part, it will be your part. And if it's not, it's not, you know. But to give it your best, because every audition is a stepping stone to the next job. It really is. And this is our job, really, is to audition. The gravy is when we book, but to be yeah, to not let the lobby, or even the virtual lobby. I've seen it happen in the
Mm.
virtual lobby. So you can just step away from the camera, stand over here, be ready, be on alert for when they call you in. But you don't have to engage in that.
Mm.
Um, and or turn your camera off if you want to. Just be sure, be ready to turn it back on. But yeah, it's um, but know that if it is your job, it is your job. You will get it, and if it isn't, it isn't, and it's somebody else's, and to be happy for them.
And even if it's not your job, to do the best you can, because that might
Absolutely.
get you another job because they saw what you brought to the table.
That has happened so many times where, you know, forces outside their control, they had to go a different way, but they're going to look for something for you because they want to work with you. And that's happened many times. So yeah, and know that that one is the right one for you, you know?
Hmm. I want to share your book. I booked
Oh,
it. Um, and going through it again, I still find it so relevant, especially when you are talking about how to go into interviews for agents, what you have to do, your headshots, your team, I just think this is, and it's it's very readable. You could read it in a day, to the most, but it is such a gift to actors to give you the information to get you started. I really appreciate that you put this together. Even if you are a veteran actor, it gives you, it reminds you of certain things. Oh yeah, I have to take that. Oh okay, I got to do that. So I just wanted to point that out, and it's available on Amazon, people, so you can get it. But I just wanted to share that because I share this with a lot of young actors, to just start off reading the information so that you can start to understand what the business is. That's why I created my Acting Smarter planner, was to give actors structure, to show you, you know, write down your auditions, uh, what you wore, take a selfie, because you might have an audition and then maybe a month later they'll call you for a callback. Maybe they, something happened, they put the project down, now you're called back, and you got rid of the self tape, you don't remember what you did, and now you have to recreate it. Well, not recreate it, but you have to come back the way you were for the original audition. And
yeah,
so that was something I learned when we started in acting. Write it down. Have I used to have index cards where I kept all my stuff. I went on this
yes,
audition on this day with this person, and it was for this. And so,
yeah,
in putting the book together, it was very important to put stuff that I wish I had when I
yeah.
was starting as an actor, to make
Oh
life
my
easier.
God.
Here's so this planner is, it gives you target sheets to help you not just with your audition, but what is it that you want to accomplish. You know, as an actor, sometimes we can get bogged down with going to the next audition. And you haven't taken the time to say, I want to design my career this way, I would like to be this type of actor. And so that book kind of allows you to have your goals, to dream big, to do your target sheet, to have affirmations to keep you going. We talked about how important it is to have a circle of friends who are lifting you up, buoying you up, who are also on the road to success. When you are around people who are working, that's contagious, just as much as being around negative people. Being around people who are working and doing stuff is contagious. It makes you stronger. It holds you accountable. And so book, because that's what I wanted when I wish I had that when I started. So I just wanted to mention that. And I want to ask you, what made you decide, I have been acting, and I've been very successful because you've always been working. I mean, you have been uh a force, not just in commercials, but just working. You've been a force. You have been on the grind. Wasn't, oh, you were lucky. No, you weren't lucky. You put in the mileage. You have sky high points. You have accumulated so many points. And
Wow.
I want to know what made you decide, I think I want to share the information that I got with other people.
Well, it started with Carolyn. Carolyn asked me if I would sub for her, Carolyn Barry. And I said, sure. She was sick. And so I subbed in. And at the time, I had another business. I had a showcase business. And my partner said, why are you teaching for someone else? Why don't you teach for us? And I was like, well, I really don't want to enroll people. It's like my least favorite thing to do is to go, hey, take my class. So she said, I'll do that. So she started, my business partner really started it. And you heard about it at the party, she asked the amazing Francine Selkirk if we could use her studio and if she would be willing to come in on the final class. And that combo platter of me teaching Carolyn Barry's, technique my way, and at Francine Selkirk's studio, and with Francine as a bonus at the end.
And Francine is a wonderful casting director, for those that.
She retired, for that time she was the one you wanted to know. And so we had a great relationship, and we taught really well together. We used to get, you know, agents would have us both come into their agency and work with their clients, and we had a really good thing going for quite some time till she retired. It came to me pretty quickly that I was able to impart the information in a way that was kind, direct, and passionate about commercials because I do love them. So coming from a place of not bitterness and not, it could have happened to me, and to be able to not feel like these are people in competition with me, but to be able to help them, sort of became clear that I was pretty good at it, and that it felt good too. It felt good when they would go on to get jobs. It felt like, wow, okay, this is what you do. You pay it forward.
And your class is also honest. I mean, you are very honest. You're not blowing smoke up anybody's butt. You're really giving them the tools. You're sharpening them. You're
Yeah.
you're pulling them up and saying, "Come on, you can do better." So I appreciate that. I love that. So I want to talk about some of your classes that you offer.
So A to Z is the foundation class that we offer. It pretty much is A to Z about commercial acting, but it's not just a lecture. You are working every single week, 2 or 3 times a class. It's small class sizes. And you learn the 5 type of commercial auditions, which there's only ever been 5 and probably only ever will be. So a technique and a skill for each of those types of auditions to really help you um, bring your best self out. And then we'll work on that with copy each week. And then the final week, the 6th week, we have an agent come in, an agent or a manager who is always scouting for new talent and often picks up people who don't have rep. If you do have rep, it's just another opportunity to meet somebody else in the business. And then we have a branding and headshot coach come in and review your headshots and help you. And he offers privates as well if you need, help with that, which most actors do, believe me.
Now, in addition to that, you have the branding class?
We do have the branding class, but now Tom likes to do privates, so he'll just do privates with
Oh, okay.
people, which
Okay.
yeah, I think people prefer because they get all the attention themselves, and it's an hour or so, and well worth it.
Even though we haven't talked about branding, that's really important in for an actor, especially when you're going up for stuff.
Yes, and it's important in your work, like bringing your brand to the audition. I think it's important because uh, I always say actors don't want to be typecast, but in a way, you do. You want to be typecast because you want people to know what type you are in order to cast you. So typecast is a good thing till you get to the point in your career where people absolutely trust you and they will say, "Well, yeah, bring her in. I bet she could do that." But if you try to do everything in the beginning, people are confused. Like, well, I don't know who are, what can they do? They have a clown outfit there and a suit on here. It's too confusing. So you want to hone in on what your most castable self is in the beginning so people know you so they know how to call you in, and then hopefully you'll book those jobs and then they'll call you in more, and then once they book you a couple times they're a little bit more apt to think, well, let's try him for this because you've made them look good. And everybody is trying to further their career in this career, everybody. We just happen to be at the bottom of the totem pole.
And knowing what you sell, especially in the beginning, is super important. I think actors get into trouble when they come out of acting schools or colleges and they've done a plethora of roles and now they
Yes.
think they can go into the real world and do the same thing. And they were not
No.
advised that that's not going to happen.
No, it's a travesty that the graduates are not prepared better, but I can help them get prepared better for sure. But it should be done in school. But yes, here's an example. I had this great great actor, I asked him. I said, "How do you see yourself?" And he said, "Oh, I see myself as a leading man." And again, honest but kind. I said, maybe embrace your inner geek, just the guy who's a little off center, the guy at the office who uh has color coded pencils, or he has his cubicle all tricked out with tech things, and the and I know he was devastated because he really wanted to be this good looking uh, leading man, which there isn't really in commercials, or a spokesperson or something. Anyway, he came back the next week with a bow tie on, and I was like, okay. Just something snuck in, and that guy went on. He really worked on it. He went on to book like 13 commercials that year.
Hmm.
And sure enough, who was he? He was the ice cream guy. He wore a lederhosen in he was like a leprechaun. He was that guy, and he kept booking that kind of role over and over and over again. And that's why it's really important to know how you come across in the industry, how the eyes of the industry see you. And you do whatever you want in your real life, wear and do and be whoever you want in your real life. But when you put your little acting hat on, this should be the persona that is most marketable for you.
Mhm.
And Tom is really, really, really good at that. And so that class. And then we have a second level. We have levels of our commercial class. It's a improv for commercials, specific to commercials. Of course, there's Groundlings and UCB. Can't compete with those. Those are fantastic classes for improvising. But where an actor has the opportunity to improvise is commercials. That's really about it. Unless you're doing The Office or sketch comedy, commercials is where you're not only asked to improvise, you're expected to. So how much, how little, where, what should I say, how can I do it, that is that class specific to improvising in commercials,
Mm.
which is great. And then our third level class for commercials is mastering the commercial self tape, which is you will deliver a self tape every week. It's 4 weeks, but you'll send in a self tape. We will watch it. Some people will do the same one. Sometimes we'll have, a self tape off where half the people are watching, the other people watch their self tape, and then we switch, and these people become like the client and watch the self tape. But it's all about how your self tape is coming across and the tools to help you um, make a better self tape for your auditions, for your commercial auditions. And a casting director and an agent come to the end of that class as well and watch your self tape and then redirect you in real time. So it's a great class for that skill. And then our advanced callback class, we have a casting director come in every week. They're there for the first hour and a half, watching you, giving you redirects, and then a Q&A. And then each week we work on a specific skill afterwards, without the casting person there. And that's a great class. That's a great opportunity if you're ready. And that, of course, is invitation only. But that, if you're ready, is a great opportunity to develop relationships with casting.
Now, I was scrolling through your IG page, and I saw that once the first Friday of every month, you
Yeah.
actually give a free coaching.
Yeah.
I I want to know about that as well.
Well, I just feel like people need help. They need help. They need eyes on them. So yeah, so for 15 minutes or so, I give them a piece of copy. Usually it's commercial because I think that's, where you ought to start. And yeah, we work on it. Sometimes I work on it. Sometimes I talk about other stuff with them, depending upon who they are. But we work on that copy, and I'll do it 2, 3, 4 times with them, giving them notes to see if they can take the direction. Sometimes they're sent by agents, and I'll give that agent feedback, or let the actor know, what class they might benefit from in where they're at in their career. And it really depends. I mean, I had somebody just last Friday who I recommended for the advanced commercial class because she was really good, and had been doing auditions. She took a few years off to have a kid, but she needed to get back on. And yeah, most people are going to be right for A to Z. Some are, more experienced and could be right for, the intermediate class as well. So, but it's nice to have and I'm direct, as I said, I'm direct but kind, and
With love.
offer.
With
Yeah,
love. Yes.
yeah, with hopefully something to move towards, some direction to move towards, or what I see. And I have a pretty good eye. I've been doing it for long enough that I can see what's working and what's not working, and certainly let you know what is working, and then maybe where to. We all need help. I mean, I think that's why I continue to take class. I'm never going to outgrow this career. You know, I always need an eye on me. I think that's really what it
We
is.
all
Someone's.
do. We all
Yes.
do. And
Yeah.
those A-listers are always getting coached. They
Yes,
are
exactly.
always, that's why they get to stay the A-lister, because they're always making sure that they're sharp. And you can
Yes.
tell when they're not. It's like, ooh, that was not very good. They didn't bring really hot choices to the table. What was wrong?
Mhm.
Something was wrong. And usually
Something.
they forfeited paying for the coach in
Yeah.
order to do great work. My next question regarding the free coaching, because
Yeah.
I can feel people's ears perking up. Do you sign up for it? Is that something? Do we DM you and then
For right now, the email is the best way, and I'm really looking into getting Calendly, I
Calendly?
think.
Yes.
Calendly, yeah, which they could sign up themselves, which would be great. But yeah, so just email and we'll give you a time, and it's the first Friday of every month.
I want to know, what is it that you love about commercials?
I mean, I love everything about them. I really do. I love everything about doing commercials. I love they're funny. They're funny. They're short. I just got to work with Ted Danson on a spot, and I got to tell you, that was one of the highlights of I got to work with Magic Johnson. I mean, the guys from Suits, Patrick J. Adams. So I get to work with people that might not necessarily not get to work with, but and everybody seems to have a good time when they're doing commercials. It's fun. I've never really had a bad shoot. Um, I did a progressive spot that was great. I mean, just the people are happy to be there. One, it's usually funny. And two, I love the residuals. I love them.
Attitude.
Yeah.
What attitude should actors bring to the set?
Oh, happy to be there. Happy to be there. I mean, that's the key is, when you look at how many people it started out, 4,000, narrowed it down to, maybe 100 got an audition and then 25 were called back and three were put on a veil and you made it to the set. Um, Yeah, gratitude for sure. And happy to be there. And a team player. Obviously, if something's askew, if there's, rules that are not being followed, and it's a SAG job, you can certainly call a union rep. But for the most part, everybody, I mean, I can speak SAG, but for the most part, everybody is sticking to the game plan. I don't know about the non-union world, um, but I just, I wouldn't get to that point where you're too good to be doing it because it's just not pleasant to be around. You know, be that person that helps the other actor. Like if this is your 16th commercial and this is somebody's first, help them along. It'll make you look better, make you be better. It'll help them. They'll remember it. There's just not a lot of place for a-holes in this
Mm-hmm.
business because
Mm-hmm.
it's a small, small, small town.
And people talk.
People talk.
People definitely talk. I just want to, before we go, let the audience know how much I love your teaching, how much I love Keep It Real acting. I tell every kid that I get to talk to that they must take from you. There are a lot of classes out there, a lot of people, but my money is on you. I know that they're going to come out better than when they started, have a code of ethics when they go into the room. I know that they're going to do the work. I know that they're going to come in with a sense of fun, and they're going to have fun buttons because they have learned how to do that, that they
Yeah.
will leave you prepared. And I just want to stress, we've talked about 5 of your classes, and I think, speaking for myself, I think that when the actor comes to study with you, it is in their best interest to take all 5 classes, if not
Yeah.
once, at least a few times, because that's how you learn. And just
Yep.
because you took a class for 6 weeks does not make you an actor. We throughout this interview we've talked about the power of continuing to educate yourself and keep yourself
Yeah.
sharpened, not just taking classes, but also working on different materials regularly so that you are prepared, you are always ready. I love the saying that says, if you are always ready, you don't have to get ready.
It's true, Lydia. I mean, I know it must appear or seem, or you think that, oh, they just want people taking their classes. No, it's really the actor that stays relevant, that is pivoting, that knows the new trends, that is, actively interacting with other working actors is the person who's savvy. It just makes you savvy. You have a confidence, and Carolyn Barry used to say, confidence, the only way that you can get confidence, and confidence is, intoxicating in the self tape or in the room. Confidence, not cocky, but confidence. And the only way you can really get confidence is by doing the work. That's the only way. Doing the work and going, oh, that was good. That works. Wow. That's the only way you can do it. And it's not something you can put on or think yourself into. It just isn't. It comes from actually experiencing it, and the only way to do that I know, I mean, it's why I continue to take class.
Mastering. If you're
Yeah.
mastering, you come self uh self-assured, not cocky,
Yeah.
but oh, I know how to do this. And it
Yeah.
looks so beautiful when you come in the room knowing, I know how to do this. It puts everyone at ease. That's the best way you can serve the production, serve the casting director, is to say, I know how to do this. What would you like? I could do it
Yeah.
this way. I could do it. Give me some a direction. I can do it. I've been trained. I think that is, you talked about Brad Pitt. So I'll give you a little Brad Pitt story. So I just did an interview with Ivana Chubbuck, who worked with Brad for a long time. And so to hear her talk about Brad and how he treated rehearsals, that
Mhm.
the other actors in the class would get annoyed at him because he wanted to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. And early on, when he was starting out, he was asked by an actor in the class, an actress who was working a lot. She was going to do a scene for an agent, and she asked him if he would be her partner. You would get somebody from your class to go and audition for an agent, right? You would bring in a scene. And so she only rehearsed once, and she said that was enough. Well, it wasn't enough for him. So he paid to get coaching a few times so that he could be prepared, even though the scene had nothing to do with him. It was not for him. It was just to make her look good. He went into this agency. It was a pretty prestigious agency, and he was the one who was signed by the agents.
I saw
She
that
was
coming.
not,
Yeah.
because she thought, well, I've worked a lot. I have a resume. I know what I'm doing. But her lack of preparation, even though she was a working actor, cost her the agency. And you can never be too confident that you don't do your work beforehand, that you don't prepare. Reading sides over one time and go, okay, I've got it, let's do it, is not sufficient to show
No.
your craft. So
No.
I just wanted to share. I was saving this for the end because I wanted to tell you how hard an actor like Brad Pitt worked early on to get where he is, and he still gets coached.
Yeah, you see it. He wants every moment to be clean and clear and interesting, and it is, in my opinion.
He doesn't leave money on the table.
No, he
My
doesn't.
boss would say, he leaves no money on the table. He
That's
says, "We are gonna take it all. What do you got? I want that penny too. Give it to me." So
for sure. Sure.
anything you want to say that I did not cover that you think would benefit the actor watching this?
Oh, I don't think so. I feel like we've done a deep dive into my journey and commercials and keep it real acting and all that. And I really appreciate yourself, especially your daughter, your passion for helping actors. It's so important. It's just important,
Well,
and
it's
and
about
it's
giving back, right? We have to give
yes,
back.
and it doesn't go unnoticed.
And I want everybody to know, there was no payment in this exchange. I do this because I believe in what you teach. I believe that you have something that could really benefit the actor. And what I
Mhm.
love, we started this with how the pandemic changed everything. What I love, even though the pandemic was horrible, the good that came out of the pandemic was that we have Zoom classes. So no matter where you
Yeah,
are in the world, you have access to the best teachers right now. Before
yeah,
the pandemic, you had to get on a wait list. You had to be in Los Angeles or New York. You had to be in that place where that teacher was. But because of the pandemic, the world opened up and you can
yeah,
study with the best of the best. You
yeah.
don't location no longer is limiting you. And I
No,
highly recommend, no matter where you are, if you are interested in doing commercials, to look up Keep It Real Acting with my friend, my inspiration, Judy Kain, because she really helps the actors. She really does. And so I think that is the best place you can be as an actor, whether you are a new actor, whether you are a veteran actor, whether you are an actor who took time off to raise your kids, your family, go off and try a different career. And now you're like, I want to come back and act. This is the place for you to grow. This is the place for you to glow. This is the place for you to be amazing. Give yourself the opportunity. Her classes are not that expensive compared to other classes out there. So not that she undercuts herself, but she thinks of the actor. She thinks of the person who is struggling out there trying to make ends meet and still take their classes. So you are getting quite a lot of value in this class. Not only do you get trained, but you get to meet industry people at the end. I stress this to every actor that I come across. You are getting not just the sundae, but you're getting the cherry on top with the whipped cream and the spoon to eat it. It is phenomenal. So
oh,
the
that's
description is below how you can reach Judy, with your email and what you need in order to uh, take a class. Give yourself that opportunity. If you really want to be an actor, or if you've been an actor for several years and nothing has gone your way, you get to shift it right now. You get to do your part to make your career something that you aspire to, something that you dreamed of. Start now. That was great information from Judy Kain on how to nail your self tape. I loved it. If you loved it, give me a thumbs up and a comment and let me know what you think. And while you're at it, buy me a coffee. Don't go anywhere because we have another great masterclass for you. This one is on voice acting with voice director, Miss Andrea Romano.